Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on Asian representation and underrepresentation in Hollywood and media. Today, I will be interviewing my two family members, my brother and sister-in-law, to better understand their personal perspectives, ideas, and experiences regarding how Asian and Asian Americans are portrayed in film and television. So media representation matters because Hollywood shapes how people see different racial and ethnic groups. In our class lecture, Professor Nancy Wang Yuen explains that stereotypes in media can affect both how others perceive minorities and how minorities see themselves. Many Asian Americans have experienced harmful stereotypes that were created and repeated throughout movies and television. One of the articles we discussed, Understanding and Avoiding Asian American Stereotypes, states that stereotypes are extremely harmful because they affect how people think, feel, and act. This shows how repeated portrayals in media can influence real-life attitudes and behaviors towards Asian communities. Another important quote from our readings in the article, Hollywood Plays a Role in Hypersexualizing Asian Women, explains that research shows that if people have no contact with a particular group, they draw their ideas about that group from popular media. This means that for many people, especially across the US, Hollywood becomes their main source of understanding about Asians and Asian Americans. Historically, Hollywood has often portrayed Asians through limiting stereotypes, such as the model minority, the submissive Asian woman, or the socially awkward and undesirable Asian man. These stereotypes have impacted how Asians are treated in everyday life and have contributed to racism, fetishization, and exclusion. At the same time, there has been progress in recent years through films and television shows that present more realistic and diverse Asian stories. As one of our articles explains, we are seeing more nuanced, realistic, and complex representations. We are seeing more stories that humanize the diversity of Asian American experiences. So through these interviews, I hope to learn how representation in Hollywood has personally affected my interview subjects, my family, and what stereotypes I've noticed, and what changes they hope to see in the future. Okay, thank you for both being here and willing to share your thoughts and experiences today. So, Hannah, how would you describe the way Asians are usually portrayed in Hollywood movies or TV shows?
I feel like Asians are portrayed, at least in current times, a lot more in a positive light. Before, it was very overly sexualized, or they were kind of seen as very weak. But since Shang-Chi and Michelle Yeoh and all these Simu Liu and all these other actors and actresses that are starting to pop up more in Hollywood, I feel like Asians are being more empowered, and they're taught to accept their cultural differences and really strengthen themselves through it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And Todd, this one's for you. Have there been any movies or shows with Asian representation that made you feel proud or seen? Or even the opposite, underrepresented, that someone's trying to act like they're Asian or have some stipulation on how Asians are in movies that offend you even. I'll take that answer too.
My problem with movies is that when they do Asian movies, they only do Chinese. They don't do anybody else.
Yeah.
Unless they're K-dramas, which are a specific genre of their own, they're only doing Chinese. If they do Japanese, it's always samurai or World War II. So either it's seen as the Japanese are antagonists or swinging a sword and nothing else.
That's actually a very good point. I didn't even think of that.
I don't either.
It's good. This is for both of you. What are some common stereotypes about Asians in Hollywood that stand out to you, good or bad?
Women are usually portrayed to be very sexualized. They're something that like white men can't have, and so it makes them want them more.
Yeah.
But that's very, very old Hollywood as well. Now it's like they're portrayed as like a gentle but very strong spirit,
Mhm.
and like very focused on like Tai Chi, Kung Fu type genres.
Yeah. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, even when they're doing kung fu, they're doing it in a sexy dress. So, I think that the only time they use Asians in movies is for a funny scene.
Yeah.
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 That's pretty much it.
Do you think that both of you guys, do you think Asian men and Asian women are represented differently in media?
We're not media, as in like
It could be
news.
everything. Yeah, news.
Oh,
Hollywood,
Asians aren't
everything.
represented in the media.
Just not at all. Huh?
Asians are like intentionally left out of the media because they're a minority group, the smallest major minority group
Mhm.
that doesn't complain about institutional oppression. And so
Yeah.
it's political because Asians just work hard and make a better life for themselves instead of complaining about how hard life is and blaming the system,
Mhm.
because they don't make the excuse that they're a minority so they can't succeed.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not part of any main political like focus, and so they're left out of the media intentionally.
Got it. Yeah. This is for you, Hannah. Have you ever felt stereotyped by the way Asians are portrayed in movies or television? Personally,
I mean, technically, yes.
Mhm.
Because it's so blanketed, and they're like Todd had mentioned earlier how, you know, for a lot of movies and films, it's mainly focused on Chinese, like
they're overly represented. it
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like. I don't see a
And-
lot of other cultures of Asians
mhm.
in.
And
media.
so, like, I'm Korean, you know, Todd's Japanese, and
Right.
I feel like the only Korean show that I know of that most Americans watch was Kim's Convenience, and it was kind of like they made fun of it essentially. It was supposed to be kind of funny,
Yeah.
also very like stereotypical Asian accents were used in it, and you know, not all Asian people carry that same type of accent. A lot of
Mhm.
them are born or even came to the United States very, very early, and we all know how to speak English. We know our proper grammar, you know, and so
Mhm.
sometimes shows, news, and media in general kind of like makes fun of Asians.
Yeah, it throws the accent around. I can understand that. What changes would you like to see in Hollywood with Asian representation? This is for both of you if you have any points to make.
Just more cultural representation and proper representation, and even like hiring the correct actors and actresses for those
that culture
for
and
that
that-
culture and for those
Mhm.
roles, because you know, you can't necessarily hire, you know, a Chinese person to properly represent a Japanese person,
Yeah.
and vice versa. You can't hire an Indian person to properly represent a Thai person. It doesn't work
It's a
like
huge
that.
generalization. Yeah.
It's a huge generalization, and the cultures are very, very different from one another.
Yeah. Two more questions. One more. Hannah, how important is it for children and teenagers to see people who look like them?
So important.
Yeah.
We even saw it like from The Little Mermaid, when they
Mhm.
had hired, I think her name was like I forgot her
Haley
name.
something?
Yeah, Haley something. That a lot of Black young girls and even older Black women felt like they were represented because of the
Mhm.
fact that the role was filled by a Black actress.
Right.
So for Asian children, Asian adults, I feel like it would heal a part of them, especially the Asian adults, to be able to find proper representation, and even that connection that, oh, this person is Korean, you know. And so I'm like, finally a proper representation for someone who's Korean,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, that's good.
basically it. Yeah.
And last question. Thank you so much for your time, you guys. Overall, how has Hollywood's representation of Asians and even your culture affected your personal experiences or identity? I know Todd has something to say about that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I like the show Hell on Wheels because in the show Hell on Wheels, they albeit they are Chinese again. In this case, it's accurate that the Chinese were working on the railroads, right?
Right. Yeah.
They were basically enslaved to these railroads. And the Chinese could be murdered by any white man so long as there was no other white man in the room when it happens, because the Chinese or Asians could not stand in court against the white man.
Yeah.
And so what I like is that show brought that to light, where that would be, I didn't Google it, so I don't know if it's a fact. But I like that the oppression that the Hollywood could change or Hollywood could do is to shine more light on the oppression that Asians have faced. For example, the Japanese internment camps. How about everybody lost everything they owned and had to start over after that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they don't have anything for that. They don't have any representation for Asians.
There's no story that's been
There's
told.
no right. The story isn't told about Asians when Asians are here too, and Asians have been here too, and Asians have been enslaved here too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the smallest minority group in America, major minority group, I have to say that because there's other minority groups, obviously, was oppressed just as much, and has been seen as the comedy joke the entire time, all while succeeding over other people's heads. So, like, I think that's why Asians don't get any light, is because if Asians are shined a light on, especially in the media, especially in these movies, then other groups will have no excuse. And they need groups to have an excuse because, again, everything falls back into politics. Somebody needs to vote for somebody, so somebody needs to have an excuse for somebody.
That's a really good answer. That's tough. Any opinions on that, Hannah?
Could you ask the question one more time, please?
Oh, of course. Yes,
I
yes.
don't remember what the question was, so just answer it.
How has Hollywood's representation of Asians affected your personal experiences and identity? How do you feel about all of it?
I remember growing up that a lot of kids would call me like Ching Chong, and they try to make fun of me, throw an accent at me, and that was just like my basic childhood, you know, because that's just how Hollywood had represented Asians during that time.
Yeah.
I ignored it because that's like, I'm not gonna let it bother me because that's not who I am. But when more movies about Asians had start coming out, like that definitely did heal part of my childhood, and that people really enjoyed those movies as well. So it's just kind of like, it was nice to see that other people can enjoy watching that culture and starting to understand, you know, some parts of Asia, and even more so, like, still have interest in it. So
that is awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Thank you so much for your time, you guys. I really appreciate you, and this will be great for the presentation. Have a great night. In conclusion, this presentation shows how powerful and influential Hollywood and media representation can be in shaping society's understanding of Asian and Asian American communities. Through these interviews, it became clear that stereotypes and underrepresentation still affect how Asians are perceived and treated in everyday life, especially in the personal experiences through our family and through my brother and sister-in-law. The readings and our class discussions emphasized that media does not simply entertain people, it can influence beliefs, attitudes, and social behavior. As Professor Ewan explained in our course, stereotypes in Hollywood can shape both public perception and even self-identity. Although Hollywood has historically portrayed Asians through harmful stereotypes such as the model minority, the submissive Asian woman, or awkwardly Asian man, there have also been progress towards more authentic and diverse storytelling. This greater representation allows audiences to see Asians as complex individuals rather than one-dimensional stereotypes. One quote from the readings, again, that stood out was that we are seeing more nuanced, realistic, and complex representations. Overall, these interviews helped me better understand the importance of representation and why diversity in Hollywood does matter. When people see themselves represented accurately and respectfully in media, it can create a stronger sense of belonging, visibility, and equality. Thanks for watching.